Krishna, I welcome all to our Bhagavad Gita class. We are on chapter 13, and we all know that Bhagavad Gita has got 18 chapters, which are divided into three parts. The first part is from section chapter number 1 to chapter number 6, and it talks mainly about the Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, a bit about Dhyan Yoga, and then the chapter 7 to 12. 7 to 12 is about Bhakti Yoga. That is the most confidential part of Bhagavad Gita. And why it is the most confidential part of Bhagavad Gita? Because Krishna reveals himself. He tells who he is and why bhakti is most important. So that is the confidential part of Bhagavad Gita. And then the last part is from chapter number 13 to chapter number 17. 18th is actually the summary of the entire first to 17 chapters. So that is the Gyan Yoga. So the chapter 13 onwards is Gyan Yoga, and we are on the first chapter of Gyan Yoga, which is chapter 13. Now, there had been a break last 2 weeks. I could not take the class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the shlok together so that we all can revisit what we have learned 2 weeks back, and then we can start. So the objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. So the chapter 13 is called Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. This chapter is divided into 6 sections. The first shlok is about Arjun's 6 questions. The second to 7, where Krishna describes what is Kshetra, Kshetragya, and Gyan. And the third section is from 8 to 12, which is about Jnanam. What is the process of acquiring knowledge? So this much we have already covered. Today, actually, we will be going in detail from 13 to 19, which is Gayam. It is the object of knowledge. This we will go into detail, and followed by next 2 classes where we'll be talking about Prakriti, Purusha and their union, and Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge, followed by glories of chapter 13 from Padma Purana. So let us start what we have learned till now. Arjun 6 questions, Krishna's answer to Kshetra, Kshetragya and Gyan. So please repeat after me. 13.1, the first slok of 13th chapter. Arjunuvacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragamevacha Etadvetitumikkshami Jnanam Geyam Cha Keshava. Mataji, repeat. Arjunuvacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragamevacha Etadvetitumikkshami Jnanam Geyam Cha Keshava. So now Arjun says, what does he say? In the last, if you look into the shlok, there are 4 parts of the shlok, and in the 4th part, he says, "Oh Keshav, oh Krishna, I want to know Etad Vetum Ikshami." Etad Vetum Ikshami is, Iksha is desire. I have a desire. Vedit is to know. What is the desire to know? What does he want to know? He wants 6 things. Prakriti. What is Prakriti? What is nature? Purusham. Purusham is the enjoyer. Who is the enjoyer? Chaiva Kshetram. What is Kshetra? What is the field of activity? Kshetragya. Kshetragya is who is the knower of the field of activity. And then Jnanam. Jnanam is what is Gyan? What is knowledge? And Geyam. Geyam is what is the object of knowledge? What is the object of knowledge? What is knowable? What should be known? What is the object of knowledge? This is the 4 questions, 4 things, 4 subjects he wants Krishna to explain to him. And then we go to the next slok. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram Ityabhidhiyate Etadyo Vetitam Prahu Kshetragya Iti Tadvidhi. श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रम् इत्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः माताजी श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रम् इत्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ iti tadvidha. So Sri Bhagwan Vacha, Krishna says, what does he says? Idam shariram, this body, this sharir, this body, Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra, O Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra, Kshetram. This sharir is called Kshetram. What is Kshetra? The field of activity. This sharir is this body is the field of activity. Idiyati, you should know, this is what is, this body is called the field of activity. Etadyo vetitam, and someone who knows this field of activity. Etadyo veti, veti is no, tam is to that, what is the field of activity? Prahu is called Kshetragya, and someone who knows this field of activity, this body, is called Kshetragya iti tadvida, is what is called, right? So now let us read the English translation. Arjun said, Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field. And one who knows this field, body is called the knower of the field. Right? So we have already discussed in this in detail earlier, but I would just like to talk a bit about this. So why is the body called the field, right? So what happens? When a farmer, if you look at the field, whatever you sow in the field, accordingly you get the result of that. If a farmer sows a neem seed, a neem plant comes. If a farmer sows a mango tree, a mango plant comes. So whatever you will sow, accordingly you will reap. Similarly, this body, whatever karma you will do by this body, this is the field of activity. This body is the field of activity. Whatever we will do, whatever activity we'll do by this body, accordingly we will get the result. That is why this body is called the field of activity, because based on our activity, we'll get the karma, and based on the karma, we'll have to live our life again to enjoy or suffer the karma. It's as simple as that, right? That is why this body is Kshetra, which is the field of activity. And then what is Kshetragya? Gya means always the knower. Gya is the knower. Someone who understands, who knows this body. So who is that one who knows this body? It is our soul. Kshetragya, who knows this body? So who is actually making this body work? It is the soul. What is the difference between a living body and a dead body? It is consciousness. And consciousness comes from soul. If the soul is there, consciousness is there, then the body is active. As soon as the consciousness goes, the soul goes out, the body is a dead body. Everything else remains same, right? So who is the Kshetragya? Who is the knower of the body? It is the soul. It is the soul. And the soul is what is? So that is the knower of the body, right? Now what we'll do, we'll go to the next slok. 13.3. क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रज्ञोर्ज्ञानं यत्तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम। माताजी, क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रज्ञोर्ज्ञानं Yatajnanam matam mama. Now Krishna says, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi. There is cha api. There is one more Kshetragya. Kshetragya is the knower of the body. There is one more knower of the body. And who is that? Mam vidhi. I vidhi. Vidhi is you know. You should know that there is one more who knows about the body. And not only I know about one body, Sarva Kshetreshu. I know about all the bodies. And how does he know about all the bodies? He is situated in our body as super soul. He is in the body of everyone as Paramatma. As Paramatma. So he says there is one more who knows about this body, and not only one body, but Sarva Kshetreshu of all the bodies. Bharata. Bharata is Arjun. Oh Arjun. Then he says Kshetra Gyor Jnanam. And what is Gyan? Kshetra Gyor Jnanam. Someone who the one, the knowledge of Kshetra field and Kshetragya, the knower of the field. Gyan. Yattaj jnanam matam mama. Matam is mat is opinion. Mam is mine. In my opinion, yattaj jnanam. That is gyan. What is gyan? Knowing about the field of activity and the knower of the field of activity. That is the soul and super soul. So that someone who knows that this is the field of activity and the body, the soul and super soul, that knowledge is called Gyan. In my opinion, that knowledge is called Gyan. So now let us read the English translation. O son of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So he has answered 3 questions of Arjun. So what is Kshetra? Kshetra is the field of activity, which is the body. Kshetragya is the knower of the field of activity, which is the soul and super soul. And the third is Gyan. What is Gyan? Knowledge about body, about the soul and super soul. This knowledge is Gyan, right? This is what he said. So we talked about how a king, normally a farmer will know about his land, what lands he has. But the king of that area will actually have access to all the fields in his area, and he will also know who is the owner of what field, right? And he has a complete control about all the fields. If he decides, he can make a road out of any field. He can do whatever he wants. He can acquire those fields. So he is actually the owner, real owner of all the bodies, right? All the fields. Now we go to the 4th shlok. Tat kshetram yachya dikcha. Yad vikari yatascha yat. Sa cha yo yat prabhavascha. Tat samasena me shunu. Tat kshetram yachya dikcha. Yad vikari yatascha yat. Sa cha yo yat prabhavascha. Tat samasena me shunu. Tat chet, yeah, Mataji. Tat chetram yach yadikcha. Yad vikari yatascha yat. Sa cha yo yat prabhavascha. Tat samasena me shunu. Now Krishna says, Tat kshetram, of that kshetra. What that kshetra is? The body. Yat kshetram, tat kshetram, about that field of activity, that is about that body. Yach. Yach means how it is constituted. What is this body made up of? What it is? Yach is constituted. Yadikcha. Yadikcha is what is the quality of that body. Not only constituted, how is this body made up of, but what is the yadikcha is the quality of that body. Yad vikara. What are the changes of that body? Yatascha. And how it is produced. So these are the 4 things about kshetra, about the body Krishna is going to talk about. And then it says 2 things about kshetragya, that is the knower of the body, which is yatsa. Yatsa means who is he? Yatsa is who is he? Cha yo yat prabhavascha. Prabhav is influence. And what is the influence of that Tat Samasen. Samasen is summary. That about that in summary, me shunu. Hear from me. So I'm going to tell you in summary about four things about body and two things about the knower of body, it is soul and super soul. So four things that is going to talk about is what is this body made up of? Then what are the qualities of this body? The changes of this body? How is it produced? That is about body. And then Yatsa, about him. About him is the Brahma. And then he talks about Yat Prabhavasya. And what is the influence of that is what I'll now listen from me. So let us read the English translation. Now please hear my brief description.
Now please hear my brief description
Of this field of activity.
Of this field of activity.
And how it is constituted.
How it is constituted.
What its changes are.
What its changes are.
Whence it is produced.
Whence it is produced.
Who that knower of the field of activity is.
Who that knower of the field of activity is.
And what his influences are.
And what his influences are.
Now, fifth shlok. ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम्
ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम्
छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक्
छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक्
ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव
ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव
हेतुम् अद्भिर्विनिश्चितः विनिश्चितैः.
तुमद्भिर्विनिश्चितैः.
Mataji, repeat.
ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम्
ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम् छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव हेतुमद्भिर्विनिश्चितैः. Now Krishna says Rishibhir Bahuda Gitam. Bahuda means many. Rishi are sages. Many sages have Gitam, have actually sang about it. They have sung about it in hymns. They have actually sung about it. Chandobhir in Vedas. Vividhai Prathak. In many Vedas, in different Vedas, in different Prathak, in multiple times, Prathak in different ways, this has been already explained. Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is also Vedanta Sutra. Brahma Sutra Padais, in the pad, in the pad of Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra, also Hetum Adbhiravishati. The cause and effect has also been explained. This is not the first time it is going to be talked about. I am going to tell in Bhagavad Gita, but this is already spoken multiple times by the rishis. It is also written in Vedas. It is also written in Vedanta Sutra, and it has also been detailed about the cause and effect about this. So let us read the translation. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is specially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. Now we'll go to next shlok. महाभूतानि अहंकारो बुद्धिर अव्यक्तमेव च इंद्रियाणि दशैकं च पंचचेन्द्रिय गोचरः. माताजी. महाभूतानि अहंकारो बुद्धिर अव्यक्तमेव च इंद्रियाणि दशैकं च पंचचेन्द्रिय गोचरः. So the shlok 6 defines about what the constitution of the body, what is this body made up of. He says Mahabhuta, the five great elements. And what are these five great elements? It is earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So these are called Panch Mahabhuta. So these are the five great elements which is made of Ahankaro. Ahankaro is the false ego. Why false ego is called ego is called false ego? Ego is identity. What I am. Now false ego is, it is said false ego when you identify soul and body. When you think soul and body is one, then it is false ego. When you identify with the body, it's one. It's called false ego. But what is the real ego? The real ego is body is Kshetra, is different and the soul is the knower of the body. When you have that gyan, then it is real ego. So for ahankara is false ego, buddhir is intelligence. Avyakta meva. Avyakta is what? It is unmanifested modes of nature. Avyakt, which is not been manifested yet. So the body, when the consciousness is not there, it is just like a dead matter, right? It is a dead matter. So the modes of material nature is actually not manifested. It will only manifest when the consciousness comes. So it is unmanifested modes of material nature. We are going to read about the modes of material nature in the next chapter. That is the total chapter is about that, right? Then Indriyani the Shrekam Cha. And then the 10 sense organs, which were there are two types of Indriyani, set of Indriyani. One is the Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. So these are the two sets of Indriyas we have. What are the Jnanendriya? Jnanendriya is from where we acquire knowledge, which is our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and our skin, touch, right? That is the Jnanendriya. And what is our Karmendriya? From where we do the work, which is our hands, our legs, our mouth, our this thing, then our anus and genitals. This is the five karmendriya that we have. And dashekam, and ekam is the last one, 11th one is the mind. Cha panch chandriya gochara, and the five chandriya gochara. Chandriya gochara means the objects of the senses. So for example, what does I see? I see forms. What does I see? Eyes can recognize forms. What does the ear hear? Ear can hear sound. What does the nose? It takes smell. What about the tongue? Taste. And then skin is touch. So these are the five Indriya Gochara, the objects of senses, right? So these together make 24 elements. So this body is made up of 24 elements. These are our gross and subtle elements that we have. So now Krishna explained about the first question, what is this body constituted of? Now let's go to the next shlok. Iksha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham.
Icha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham.
Sanghataschetnadhriti.
Gataschetana-dhriti.
Etat kshetram samasena.
Etakshetram samasena.
Savikaram udahitam.
Savikaram udahitam.
Iksha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham.
Icha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham.
Sanghataschetnadhriti.
Sanghataschetana-dhriti.
Etat kshetram samasena.
Etakshetram samasena.
Savikaram udahitam.
Savikaram udahitam.
Mataji.
Icha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham.
Iksha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham.
Sanghataschetana-dhriti.
Sanghataschetnadhritihi.
Etakshetram samasena.
Etat kshetram samasena.
Savikaram udahitam.
Savikaram udahitam. So the iksha is desire. Dvesha is hatred. Sukha is happiness. Dukh is distress. Sanghat's chetana. Chetana is our basically the consciousness. Dhiti is our determination. Etat kshetram samasena. Samasena, in summary, all these things actually affect the kshetra, which is the body, and got savikaram udahitam. And the vikar is the changes in the body is all because the interactions between all these elements and the kshetra, the body, right? So let us read the English translation. The five great elements:
The five great elements:
false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested,
the unmanifested,
the 10 senses and the mind,
10 senses and the mind,
the 5 senses of objects,
the 5 sense objects,
desire,
hatred,
happiness, distress, the
the
aggregate, the life symptoms,
life symptoms,
and convictions.
and convictions.
All these are considered,
All these are considered,
in summary,
to
be the field of activities
be the field of activities
and its instructions,
and
right?
its interaction.
So now this finishes the first 2 sections of this chapter. We go to the third section of this chapter, which is Gyan, the process of acquiring knowledge. What is the process of? That's what now Krishna explains from shlok number 8 to 12. So we go to shlok number 8. Amanitvam adambhitvam.
Amanitvam adambhitvam.
Ahimsa kshantirarjavam.
Ahimsa shantirarjavam.
Acharyopasanam shocham.
Acharyopasanam shaucham.
Stairyam atmavinigraha.
Dhairyam atmavinigraha.
Amanitvam adambhitvam.
Amanitvam adambhitvam.
Ahimsa kshantirarjavam.
Ahimsa shantirarjavam.
Acharyopasanam shocham.
Acharyopasanam shaucham.
Stairyam atmavinigraha.
Dhairyam atmavinigraha.
Mataji.
Amanitvam
Adam.
ahimsa
Amanitvam adambhitvam.
ahimsa shantirrajavam
Ahimsa shantirarjavam.
acharyopasanam shaucham
Acharyopasanam shocham. Stairyam atmavinigraha. Now Krishna says that he's going to explain about the 20 qualities. He says to acquire knowledge. So what is knowledge? Knowledge is to understand the body, the soul, and the super soul. When you have understood this, then that is what Krishna says as Gyan. That is Krishna says as Gyan, knowledge. And he is now explaining the 20 qualities that one needs to have to understand, get this knowledge about body, Gyan, and yeah. Now, why Krishna calls this knowledge, the knowledge about body, Gyan, and soul and super soul as knowledge? But what do we know about knowledge? What do we think as knowledge? How do we classify knowledge? So in the material plane, knowledge means getting into high degrees, getting high degree of PhD, or getting an engineering degree or a medicine degree or a scientific degree. So as per a material platform, we understand these are knowledge. Now acquiring that is important when you have come to this world, so that you can work. But the thing is, that is not the real knowledge. As we have learned in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has explained Bhagavad Gita as a Raj Vidya. He explained as Raj Vidya. It's a king of knowledge. Why has he explained Bhagavad Gita as a king of knowledge? He has explained Bhagavad Gita as a king of knowledge because this knowledge, what he has given in Bhagavad Gita about the body, about the soul, about the super soul, about bhakti, it can actually help us to get liberation. Basically, the soul is actually entangled in this body because of our karma. And Bhagavad Gita tells us, explains us a process by which we can we can actually remove this entanglement of our soul in this body and get liberated. We basically come out of this cycle of birth and death. And that is why this knowledge is the king of all knowledge. Whatever knowledge we acquire in universities today, none of them are capable of giving us that knowledge which can actually liberate us, which can actually help us to come out of the cycle of birth and death. That is why that is called a real knowledge. That is why it's called a real knowledge. Yeah. And he says to have this real knowledge, what the quality you have to have? Amanitvam. Amanitvam means having humility. Why humility? Aman means, what is the meaning of samman? Samman means honor. Samman is honor. And what is apman? Apman is dishonor. Apman is dishonor. Aman is when you are sum. It means you are equal in honor and dishonor. When you are equal in honor and dishonor, that is called aman. It doesn't matter to you. You are above chasing honor or above chasing dishonor. It doesn't matter to you if you are honored, then also you are equal. It doesn't affect you are not either elated, neither you are when you are dishonored by people, you are neither you are distressed, right? So when you are in that stage, when your soul is in that stage, when that is called amanitvam, right? That is humility. Adambhitvam is pridelessness. You don't have any more pride. When you are when you are proud, you are puffed up. And when you are puffed up, what is happening? Always a downfall follows after the pride. So what will happen? You are struggling and you are getting entangled with a desire to get more and more and fight for more and more. And what is that going to cause finally? It is going to cause entanglement of the soul in this material world, and That is why pridelessness, when you are beyond that, it doesn't matter to you. When you have reached that stage, at that point of time, what will happen? You are in a situation to understand. It is like, when you are growing a creeper, and bhakti is a creeper. To grow a creeper, you need a right soil. Only when you have a right soil, then only the tree or the plant or the creeper can actually grow. So what is type of soil is needed so that the bhakti lata vriksh can grow is these things. So when you have understood this thing, then it means the soil is ready to understand the knowledge of what the difference between the body, the soul, the super soul. And then only you can, when you have got this gyan. So what we do today, we live only for the body. Everything is bodily pleasure. Our all activities are focused for the bodily pleasure, right? So when you have understood this, you have got this gyan, then you will not, your activities should move from looking at external body to the internal soul. Then our activity should also change from bodily focus to soul focused. And when our activities will change from bodily focus to soul focus, then we will be able to liberate. So what we are doing now is something which is soul food. This is a food for our soul. What we are doing now, what we chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what is that? That is the body, that is the food for our soul. And when we are feeding our soul, then our soul is actually becoming more and more purified. And the more purified becomes, one becomes capable of understanding this knowledge. When you why so many people here but people don't turn up? Because there are still so many wrappers around in that which has to be removed. And unless those wrappers are removed, the soil is not ready to actually accept this knowledge. So when you reach that platform where that, so what are the qualities for those for the creeper to grow or to understand this? Humility, then pridelessness, then non-violence. Ahimsa is non-violence. Now ahimsa doesn't mean just don't kill animals. That is not only ahimsa. And it means because of you should not put anyone else in distress. Because of you, people should not be, your activity should not be such that it causes distress to others. That is ahimsa. Neither you should speak loud, your voice should not be such, your action should not be such which should actually cause distress to others. That is ahimsa. Shantir is tolerance. The tolerance is extremely important, because what is tolerance? If you don't have tolerance, if someone says something, we will fight. We'll immediately reply, and the more we reply, there'll be fight, and then angry. Then you'll be once one will become anger, and what happens? Anger follows downfall. There's a beautiful shlok in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, how the entire, how it actually falls. You become anger, you want something, you don't get it, you become angry, and when you become angry, your intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, we fall down. That is the process that happens. So if we don't have tolerance, we cannot listen, we cannot tolerate, we don't have the capability to absorb. Although the person may not have done the mistake, but still we have to have a capability. If someone is scolding you something which you are not responsible for, accept it and forgive that person. Not only accept it, because if you accept it without forgiving, there's an anger inside you. Because you then what happens? We know, oh, okay, I am actually, it is always I am suffering. That feeling comes that I am suffering. Then when you're suffering, then the soil is not fertile, because you're not peaceful. When you feel that I'm suffering, then you're not peaceful. And when you're not peaceful, then you are not in a state of mind to get the knowledge, right? Because to get this knowledge, you have to be totally satisfied and peaceful. To understand this knowledge, one has to be very satisfied and peaceful, right? And for that, once someone is saying, oh, okay, I'm only tolerating, I'm the only one who is listening, and inside the person is burning, then again you are not. So you don't have to only tolerate, one should have the capability to forgive and forget. and let go. Because only when you forgive, when you are not at mistake, you should always think, okay, this is happening to me because of some karma which I don't know I would have done, because of which today I'm getting shouted at, today I'm suffering. So if we start putting if our thoughts are like, and that is true, why we suffer, why someone is blaming us, someone is scolding us, someone, why this happens, it is because of some relation, some karma that I have actually done to the other person in some lifetime which I don't know, and that is what is coming us back to us. So what we can do, we have to just absorb it and also have the capability to forgive and let go, so that the one person is at peace. And when one person is at peace, then your soil is fertile enough to understand this knowledge, right? That is very, very important. Tolerance. And arjavam is simplicity. Simplicity is, we just basically need two sets of clothes or three sets of clothes, so that one is in wet, you can change. What we need is only three sets of clothes, and we need simple food, right? And a small house. That's what is our need. That is what a simple life that we need. But because of our desires, it is so much, we always want more and more and more, and we keep on struggling in our life. And instead of focusing on the shastras and learning what is right, what is wrong, and trying to focus our mind to how to exit from this material world and how to come out of the cycle of birth and death, we are actually getting entangled. Working, more. We don't have time to by that, yeah. And all those things are useless. If you really see, 90% of things that we have in our house is useless. Yeah, we don't need that. But then what? We just keep on wasting our time on focusing on those material things, and and forgetting the main thing about focusing on God, right? So simplicity is important. Well, when you are, it's like being simple, living simple, and high thinking, right? Acharya upasna is following a guru. People think that I can get this knowledge on my own by reading. No. If you cannot understand, if someone cannot understand mathematics or science on their own, and we need a tuition and we need a teacher and we need to go to school, how can you understand this knowledge of science of God? How can this knowledge, which is about, which is so philosophical, could be understood just by on your own? So we need to have the right guru with parampara and follow that. And then Shaucham, cleanliness not only externally but internally. I may be taking 10 times bath, but internally I keep on talking about ill about others. Prajalpa, I keep on talking about XYZ. What is happening? Basically, I am just ruining myself. Internally, I am not clean. I am taking 10 times bath. I am clean, keeping my house 100% clean. But internally, I am only talking about ill about others. That is not, that you are, the soil is not fertile enough to actually have this so you have, so one has to. And how can we have internal cleanness? By chanting, by the more we chant, the more we hear about our shastra, the more we hear about Krishna, the more time we spend with Krishna, the time is actually, then we become purified. The more time we associate in the right, in the in with satsang, and we go in the association of like-minded people, the more opportunity, and we eat prasadam. These are the important things for us to actually become purified. Sthairyam is steadfastness, and atmanigra is self-control. And for self-control, the tongue is most important. And the tongue means, the tongue, it should only use for chanting and only use for eating prasadam. If that could be done, then that is the starting of self-control, right? So this is the 9 things that Krishna talks about in this chapter, in this shlok. And let's read the next one. Indriyartheshu vairagyam
इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम्
anhankara evacha
अहङ्कार एव च
janma mrityujara vyadhi
जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि
dukkha doshanudarshanam.
दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्
Mataji. Indriyartheshu vairagyam ahankara evacha janma mrityujara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam. Krishna says, Indriyartheshu vairagyam. Indriya is senses. Artheshu is the objects of those objects which is used for our sense gratification, watching a lot of TV, going to cinema, parties, eating in restaurants. All these things are basically used for our sense gratification. We should take vairagya from it. We should renounce it. We should renounce it. Ahankara, basically we should have absence of false ego. Janm, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Janma is, so what is our major problem? Janma is birth, mrityu is death, jara is old age, and vyadhi is disease. So all these things, dukha, dosha, anudarsham, and they are the causes of distress. So let us read the English translation. Renunciation of the objects of sense gratification.
Renunciation of the objects of sense gratification.
Absence of false ego.
Absence of false ego.
The perceptions of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease.
The perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease.
These are the causes of distress. And then 10th slok. Asaktir anabhishwangam.
Asaktir anabhishwanga.
Puttradara grihadishu.
Puradara grihadishu.
Nityam cha samachittatvam.
Nityam cha chamachittatvam.
Ishtanishtopapatishu.
Ishtanishtopapatishu.
Yeah, Mataji.
Asaktir anabhishwanga.
Asaktir anabhishwangam. Gah.
Putradara grihadishu.
Puttradara grihadishu.
Nityam cha samachittatvam.
Nityam cha samachittatvam.
Ishtanishtopapatishu.
Ishtanishtopapatishu. Now here Krishna says asakti. Asakti means attachment and asakti means detachment. Detachment to what? Detachment and anabhishwangam. Anabhishwangam is freedom from entanglement. Anabhishwangam is freedom from entanglement. From what? Detachment from what? Putra means children. Dara means your spouse. Griha is a house. And rest. The issue means rest. So basically detachment and freedom from entanglement from putra, from family, spouse, home, and rest. So it doesn't Krishna doesn't say that leave all this and run to the forest and be there. It doesn't say that. It says do your duty, do your dharma. Do your dharma with Krishna in the focus, in the center, but don't create an attachment with them. You should know that you're doing your duty as a wife, as a husband, as a friend, as a mother, as a mother-in-law, whatever, daughter-in-law, whatever duty you have to do your duty. Don't run away, but without attachment. Because that is what when you are detached, then you are actually, when you are not entangled, then you are again in a right frame of mind for you. Then you can focus towards God. Otherwise, what happened to my son? What happened to my son-in-law? What happened to my daughter-in-law? Your mind will only be with all those things, right? Yeah. Or my husband said that, my wife said that, my children did that. You are only your whole thing is so you are so much entangled in that you can't actually focus on Krishna. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishta nishtopapeteshu. And then Krishna says samachittatvam. So that is even-minded. In what? Even-minded among ishta and anishta. Ishta is pleasant and anishta is unpleasant things, right? So let us read the English translation. Detachment. Freedom from entanglement. With children, wife, home, and the rest. Even-mindedness. Amid pleasant and unpleasant events. So these are very important. These qualities are very important to have for us to grow spiritually, right? And the 11th, this is a very, very important quality Krishna talks here. Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabicharini vivikta deshe sevitvam aritirjana sansadi. Mataji.
Mai chananya
yogena
Niravyavicharini
bhaktir avyavicharini
Vivikta desha
sevitvam
Arjuna samsadi
Ratirjana sansidi. Now Krishna says the most, after all these things, the most important thing is Mai cha ananya yogena bhaktir. So you have to do bhakti. And what sort of bhakti? Ananya yogena. Ananya yoga means with one pointed attention. And abhicharini. Abhicharini means constant. And to whom you have to do bhakti? Mai. Mai is to me, to Krishna, not to XYZ. Bhakti to Krishna. He says, to get liberated, what we need to do? Bhakti to Krishna. And what sort of bhakti? It is ananya bhayogena. It is one connotation, total focus, abhicharani, and constantly. Not today I do, tomorrow I don't do. Abhicharani, constantly. If we do that, this is a very, very important quality for getting out of the cycle of birth and death. Vivikta deshe sevitvam means aspiring to live in a solitary place, means right, like to have be in a solitude. Yeah. And then sevitvam, arit jana sansidi, and detachment from the general mass of people. General mass of people means those who are not towards bhakti, but they are more towards material pleasure. The association defines us. The type of association we will be, accordingly our mind will also go. So let's read the English translation. Constant and unalloyed devotion to me,
Constant and unalloyed devotion to me,
aspiring to live in a solitary place,
aspiring to live in a solitary place,
detachment from the general mass of people.
detachment from the general mass of people.
And Krishna says, the last slok in this section, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam
Adhyatmajnana nityatvam,
Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam
tattvajnanartha darshanam,
Etaj Jnanam iti proktam
etat jnanam iti proktam,
Ajnanam yadato anyatha.
ajnanam yat adonyata.
Mataji. Adhyatma Jnanam Nityatvam Tattva Jnanamartharshanam Tattva Jnanam itim proktam Jnanam yadato anyatha. Now Krishna says that Adhyatma Jnanam is self importance, understanding the importance of self realization, and Tattva Jnana is the philosophy about the absolute truth. Now, whatever I've spoken till now, all these 20 qualities is what I declare as Gyan. Rest everything is Agyan, and everything else that you do is going to move you to the entanglement. But these are the 20 qualities one must have, and when we are doing Ananya Bhakti to Krishna, automatically what will happen? These quality will slowly develop in us. If we are doing Ananya Bhakti to Krishna, automatically one will find after years and years and years that these qualities become a part of that particular soul, right? So by this we close the second section. We start the new section today, which is Gayam, that is the object of knowledge. And what is the object of knowledge? Let's define. Krishna says the 13th stroke. Geyam yattattva prakshami
Yeham yattat pravakshami,
yajgyatva ashnute
jnatvam ashrute,
anadimat param brahma
anadimat param brahma,
na sattanna anasad uchyate
sattan nasat uchyate.
Geyam yattattva prakshami
Yeham yattat pravakshami,
yajgyatva ashnute
yajnam pratam ashnute,
anadimat param brahma
anadimat param brahma,
na sattanasad uchyate.
sattan nasat uchyate.
Mataji.
Yeham yattat pravakshami,
Geyam yattat pravakshyami
yajnatvam mritam ashnute,
yajgyatva amrit ashnute
anadimat param brahma,
anadimat param brahma
sattan nasat uchyate.
na sattanaduchyate. So here Krishna says Geyam. Geyam is the object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge? Yat pramakshami. I am now going to tell about that. Yaj gyatva. By knowing that, Yaj gyatva, by knowing that object of knowledge, amruta ashnute. What you will get? You will get eternal life. You will actually get liberated. Anadi mat param brahma. And Brahma, the spirit. Anadi is beginningless, something which is beginningless. Mat param, which is also subordinate to me. And sat tan na sad uchate, which lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So now I'm going to tell about Brahma, about the soul, and this is the only shlok he'll talk about the soul, and then what is the object of knowledge? Gayam is actually the Brahma, the soul, which is beginningless, which is eternal, and is a subordinate to Krishna, and it is beyond this the cause and effect of this material world. Let's go to the next shlok. Sarvatah panipadam tat
सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत्
सर्वतोक्षिरोमुखम्
सर्वतोक्षिशिरोमुखं
सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके
सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके
सर्वम् आवृत्य तिष्ठति.
सर्वम् आवृत्य तिष्ठति.
माताजी.
सर्वतः पाणिपादं
सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत्
स्वतो शिरोमुखं
सर्वतोक्षिशिरोमुखम्
सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके
सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके
कृत्य तिष्ठति
Sarvam avriti tishtati. Now he says, now the Krishna is now going to talk about the super soul. He says, Sarvatah Pani Pada. What happens? Sarvata is everywhere. The Pani is basically hands. His hands are everywhere. Pado. Pada is legs is everywhere. Tat Sarvatoshi. And uska even his Sarvata everywhere. Shikshir is basically eyes. His eyes are everywhere. Shiro is heads are everywhere. Mukham is face. Sarvata Shruti can also hear from everywhere. Malloke Sarvam Avriti Tishtati. And it is Avriti is all pervading. So the super soul, the super soul, what is talking about? That it has all its hands and legs are everywhere. It is his eyes are everywhere, his head is everywhere, his face is everywhere, and his ears everywhere, and it is all pervading. Yeah, and if you listen to this slok, it reminds of us of a universal form. What we read about in the universal form that was explained by when Arjun saw it was everywhere, thousands of eyes, thousands of hands, thousands of legs, everywhere, and Vishwarupa that was it was so. This slok reminds me of Vishwarupa. Now, although so let's read the English translation. Everywhere are his hands and legs.
Everywhere are his hands and legs.
His eyes.
His eyes.
Heads and faces.
Heads and faces.
And he has ears everywhere.
And he has ears everywhere.
In this way,
the
super soul exists.
The super soul exists.
Pervading everything.
Pervading everything.
Right? Now remember that story of Prahlad. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, where is Krishna? Where is your Vishnu? He says he's everywhere. Is he in this pillar? Yes, he's in this pillar. And he hits the pillar and Narasimha comes out of that, right? So he's all pervading. He's listening. He's listening that he has to be in this pillar and come out from that pillar, right? Think about Vamandev. He asked only for three steps. His steps were they are not like us. It's like it is limited. It is in 3 steps he could take the entire universe, right? In 2 steps he could take the entire universe, isn't it? I don't have much time, otherwise I would have told you the story of Barbaric also. Let's move forward. So basically the super soul, it is like, it's all pervading. It's everywhere. And it's not like us, like materially limited. It can pervade anywhere and everywhere. Whatever we say, anywhere we speak is listening. It is listening to us. Whoever is speaking, although he is sitting in Golok Vrindavan, when Draupadi is crying, when Draupadi's Chirharan is happening, and when Draupadi is crying, he's from there, he reaches. So he's everywhere. He's listening to everything. Only thing is we have to call him with love. We have to serve him and call him with love. He'll be always with you. He says, Ye me yatha mam prapadite. The way you surrender to me, accordingly I'll respond. Right? If I don't surrender to him, I only call him when I need work, he will not come. If I don't have time to you, I'm too busy. Only when I need you, I call. Why should he come? I'm also busy, right? Next. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. Asaktam Sarvabhrichaiva. Nirgunam Gunabhokticha. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. Asaktam Sarvabhrichaiva. Nirgunam Gunabhokticha. Yeah, Mataji. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. Asaktam Sarvabhrichaiva. Nirgunam Gunabhokticha. He says, Sarvendriya, all the senses, Gunabhasa. He is the original source of that. Of all the whatever exists, whatever senses, whatever is existing, who is the original source of that? It is he, the super soul. It is the super soul. Sarvendriya vivarjitam, but still Sarvendriya. Although he is the original source of everything, but he is without any senses. What is the meaning of without any senses? When Krishna says Sarvendriya vivarjitam, vivarjitam is without. But how? What is the meaning of he is without senses? It means he is without the material senses. All when Krishna is born, like we all are material, so we grow old. But Krishna is transcendental. He never goes old. His body and soul are not different. He is Satchitanand. He is always same. His body is what his soul is. It's one. It's so he's not like us. So he's without senses. It means he's without the material. The material modes of nature does not impact him. He's not the material thing doesn't impact him. Asaktam. Asaktam means not attached. Detached. Sarvbhichaiva. Sarvbhichaiva means he's the maintainer of everything. Whatever he is a creator, we have read already that he is the creator. Everything is created by him. Via Brahma, he is getting everything created, but he is not attached. He is away from it. He is away from it. He is creating everything because he is a creator and he is also the destroyer. He will also destroy it. But what we do when we create something, we get really attached to it. We cannot destroy it, right? So he is, although he is a creator, he is a maintainer of all living entity, but still he is not detached. He is detached to it. Nirgudam. Nirgudam means, what is the meaning of nirguna? Nirguna means he is above the modes of material nature. This in this world we are impacted by the next chapter is only about modes of material nature. I'll go in detail about that. So in this world, everything is affected by the modes of material nature, which is in sattva gun, raja gun, and tama gun. So everything has this gun, but super soul is above that. It cannot be impacted by the goodness, passion, or ignorance. And Guna Bhoktircha, he is the master of the modes of. So let's read the English translation. The super soul is the original source of all senses.
Super soul is the original source of all senses.
Yet he is without sense.
Yet he is without sense.
He is unattached.
He is unattached.
Although he is the maintainer of all living beings.
Also, he is the maintainer of all living beings.
He transcends the modes of nature.
He transcends the modes of nature.
At the same time,
And at the same time,
he is the master of all modes of material
he is the
nature.
master of all the modes of material nature.
So in the 9th chapter, 10th shlok, Krishna says, Maya Dhakshina Prakriti. Prakriti, that is, Prakriti is the modes of material nature. The Prakriti nature is basically under my direction. Maya Dhakshin, it is under my direction. Suyate Charachara, and all the moving and non-moving is also under my direction. So he also says in the 9th chapter about that. Let's go to the 16th shlok. Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Acharam charam eva cha.
Acharam charam eva cha.
Sukshmatvat vigyeyam.
Sukshmatvat tat avigneyam.
Durastham chantike cha tat.
Durastham chantike cha tat.
Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Acharam charam eva cha.
Charam charam eva cha.
Sukshmatvat avigyeyam.
Sukshmatvat tat avigneyam.
Durastham chantike cha tat.
Durastham chantike cha tat.
Mataji.
Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Acharam charam eva cha.
Acharam charma eva cha.
Sukshmatvat tat avigneyam.
Sukshmatvat avigyeyam.
Durastham chantike cha tat.
Durastham chantike cha tat. Now here says bahir antascha. Bahir is external. Antar is inside. Cha. Bhutanam. Bhutanam is of all the living entities. Achar means which is not moving, and char which is moving. So he is the for all the living entities. He exists outside as well as inside. Now here we will see all the opposites that will be talked about the Supreme. So basically he's this as that. Whatever is the opposite, we'll say that he satisfies both the properties, right? So he's outside also, he's inside also. Sukshmatvadat. Sukshmat he's extremely sukshma, so subtle that avigya, that we cannot see him from our material eyes. Durastham, he is very, very far. Chantike Chatat, but again he is immediately there. As we talked about Draupadi, he is so far. When Draupadi called, he is just there with him. Every day, what we do, we actually do bhog to Krishna. He comes and eats it. He eats it, right? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, "Patram pushpam phalam toyam ye yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya upahitam ashnami vedatma." I will come and eat it. You offer me patram pushpam phalam toyam, I will come and eat it. And everyone offers bhog and everything he comes and takes it. Although he is so far in Golok, but he's also here. So he is although dur, but also very near, right? 17 श्लोक अविभक्तं च भूतेषु
अविभक्तं च भूतेषु
विभक्तम् इव च स्थितं
विभक्तं इव च स्थितं
भूतभृत्य च तज्ज्ञेयम्
भूतभृत्सत्तज्ञेयम्
ग्रसिष्णु प्रभ विष्णु च
कृष्णो प्रभ विष्णु च
माताजी
अविभक्तं च भूतेषु
अविभक्तं च भूतेषु
भक्तमिव च स्थितं
विभक्तम् इव च स्थितं
सर्वतो च तज्ञेयम्
भूतभृत्य च तज्ज्ञेयम्
विष्णु प्रभा विष्णु च
ग्रसिष्णु प्रभ विष्णु च अविभक्तम is undivided च भूतेषु is all living entities vibhakta is divided च स्थितम although I am not divided but I am still situated in everyone's heart as super soul. So he is divided in everyone's heart as super soul, but still his astitva, he is still as complete, is existing there, right? Although he is sitting in everyone's heart, super soul is in everyone's heart, Paramatma, but still he is one complete as a avibhakt also, right? Undivided. Bhoot bhritya cha tatyajeva. He is, although he is the maintainer, Bhoot bhritya means he is the maintainer of everyone, although he is a maintainer of everyone, but Grasishnu means at the end, what happens when Pralaya comes, he actually takes away, he devours everything. And Prabhu Vishnu, and again, he also creates everything. So he is the creator and is also the destroyer, right? Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings,
although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings,
he is never divided.
he is never divided.
He is situated as one.
He is situated as one.
Although he is the maintainer of every living entity,
Although he is the maintainer of every living entity,
it is to be understood that he devours and develops all.
that he devours and develops all.
And then we go to the 18th slok. Jyotishamapi tad jyotis
ज्योतिषामपि तद्योतिः
tamasah paramuchyate
तमसः परमुच्यते
jnanam geyam jnanagamyam
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं
hidi sarvasya vishtitam.
सर्वस्य विष्टितं
Mataji.
ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिः
Jyotishamapi tad jyotis
तमसः
tamasah paramuchyate jnanam geyam jnanagamyam hidi sarvasya vishtitam jyotishamapi tajyoti. He says among all the jyotisha, means all the luminous object, he is the jyoti of that, he is the light of that. Tamasa paramuchate. Tamasa is darkness and he is beyond the darkness of the material world. Jnanam is the knowledge. Geyam is the object of the knowledge, and Ganagamyam is the goal of knowledge. He is all. He is the Gyan. He is the knowable object, and he is also the goal of the knowledge in all Hiri service, and he is situated in everyone's heart. Right? So let us read the translation. He is the source of light in all luminous objects.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects.
He is beyond the darkness of matter.
He is beyond the darkness of matter
And is unmanifested.
and is unmanifested.
He is the knowledge.
He is knowledge.
He is the object of knowledge.
He is the object of knowledge.
And is the goal of
And
knowledge.
he is the goal of knowledge.
He is situated in everyone's heart.
He is situated in everyone's heart.
Right? So with this, we will finish our last section of this chapter, which is about knowledge about the Gayam, object of knowledge. Right? So let us now chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and end the class. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.